We've all heard of the law of attraction, but why do negative thoughts seem to manifest themselves so much easier than positive thoughts? We're going to talk about it on today's podcast.
Hi, my name is Michael Johnson. I'm a ballroom dance professional, a life coach, and a peak performance expert. I'm part of a group of motivated people who are dedicated to attaining emotional mastery and unlocking our full potential. We've realized life is a dance. The ups and downs can spin you out of your mind, but it's time to take back control. It's time to become a lifer. We don't believe others are responsible for how we feel. In fact, we don't believe anyone can make us feel anything. We are a new breed of overachievers. Emotional mastery is our journey, and unlocking our full potential is the key. Welcome to the journey. We are lifers, and this is Magic for Life.
What's up, lifers? Michael Johnson here with Magic for Life podcast, and I'm so glad you joined me today. Hopefully, you're listening to me on one of your normal subscriptions. Maybe you're even over at YouTube. If you're at YouTube, don't forget to hit the like button for these videos and subscribe. But if you subscribe, you have to hit the notification bell because otherwise you won't know when new ones are out. We try to put out videos like a ton. So make sure you hit the bell, and that way you'll know that we have a new video out. So as I mentioned in the intro of the podcast, we're going to talk a little bit about the law of attraction. Now, if you haven't heard of the law of attraction, then you're in for a treat, right? The law of attraction is really cool, really cool. And the reason they call it the law of attraction is because it has some science to back it. And the idea is that like attracts like. And you know what? We have had sayings like this in our world for ages, right? And you can see it all the way back into the old times. But, you know, some sayings that you might know that contribute to this idea of the law of attraction is birds of a feather flock together. There's things like that, right? And you notice that in school, all of the band people hung out with the band people, and all the jocks hung out with the jocks, and the chess club loved to hang out with the chess club. And that's because everybody that has a common thread, they vibrate at a certain frequency and they want to hang out together. Well, that's the same with elements as well. And it's the same on a micro level. Things that vibrate in the same frequency tend to attract each other, and things that vibrate at different frequencies tend to push each other away. Now, what I talked about in the intro is kind of interesting. And I get asked this all the time by my clients. And it's something that's actually pretty serious. You know, they say, well, if the law of attraction works, why do I keep getting all these negative things coming about and manifesting themselves in my life? Why do I keep getting these negative things? And it's pretty simple. It's simple to understand, I should say, and maybe challenging at other times to really execute. It takes some work, just like everything. I mean, everything takes a little bit of effort. You've got to put a little bit of effort into it. You've got to create it through energy that you put out. And also you have to make sure you manage your mind and be able to take care of the frequencies that you are vibrating at. And so let's think about it. Negative versus positive. Now, first of all, let's not get into the conversation of good or bad, because good and bad are, they're challenging. Good and bad are challenging because it's different in every culture, in every society. That's a whole other conversation that's very philosophical, and I don't really want to get into it. So we're not going to talk about good or bad, but generally speaking, we understand what positive and negative are for ourselves, and what might be considered negative to you. So think about that. What kind of things would be considered negative to you, or what kind of things would be considered positive to you? And we want to think about those ideas and say, okay, well, why would something, if I'm vibrating at a certain frequency and I'm attracting something to myself, why is it that negative thoughts would actually work better than positive thoughts? So I thought I'd tell you a quick little story. So my mother told me this years ago, I guess. I'm not sure when it was, but my family is very Catholic, Roman Catholic, and they would go to church every Sunday, and it was a Spanish mass, and oftentimes you went and it was in Spanish, and I understood Spanish better then than I do now. But as I was growing up, they'd go to church. Well, anyway, um, she was at church, and the priest was telling a story and a sermon, and he said, I had this woman after one of my sermons come up and say, you know what, I really am doing all the right things, and I'm praying for everything to work out, and I keep praying and I keep doing what you say, and it just seems like the universe and the good Lord is not listening to my prayers. And he says, well, you keep praying. And so he encouraged her to keep going. And so the next week she came back and she says, well, I'm still praying, and everything seems to be falling apart, and everything's going wrong, and nothing is happening right in my world. And he said, okay, this is a little strange, because you should have seen some sort of progress. And he says, well, you got to stay strong. And she goes, I am. And he goes, well, okay, keep praying. So he sent her away, and she kept praying. And next week she came back, and again, now everything is falling apart. Everything is going wrong in her world. Her health was bad, and her finances were bad, and her family's was bad, and health in the family was bad. Everything was just going down the drain. And finally he says, okay, well, let's chat for a little bit. And so sat her down, and he says, okay, well, what are you praying for? She stopped, and she says, well, everything, I'm praying for everything that you said. And he said, okay, well, give me some of the things that you pray for. Tell me about what some of the things you pray for. And she goes, well, I pray for my family to be okay, and I pray for everything to work out, and most importantly, out of all those things, I pray for the strength to make it through. And at first this seems like a great idea, right? I mean, pray for strength, right? And the priest went, oh, I see. Okay. So let me get this clear. Are you praying with strength every prayer? And she goes, yes, absolutely. And she says, in fact, multiple times a day, because I need strength. And the interesting thing about the way the law of attraction is in order to gain strength, in order to gain the necessary strength that you need, well, if you wanted to gain strength in this muscle right here, what would you have to do? You would have to stress that muscle. You would have to get a weight, and you'd have to curl that weight. You'd have to do some push-ups. You would have to do something that physically strained that muscle, and that muscle would respond, and your mind would respond, and it would say, got it. I need to get that stronger. I need to build that muscle. And so you go to the gym every day. And for some people, they love the gym, right? For some people, they go, I don't like the gym. Everything burns, and I don't like the feeling, and it takes too much time, and I get sweaty, and I don't like how I feel when I do that. But other people that go to the gym love the feeling. They love the burn. They love the fact that they can feel themselves resisting and growing. But in order to gain strength, right, through the muscles, in order to gain strength, you must put that muscle through something so that it will get stronger. In fact, they do say that a good workout regimen will help you live longer. And why is that? Well, because the bones have to maintain strength. The muscles have to gain strength. And I think, don't quote me on this, you can go look it up and do your own research, but I think they said something about bone density increasing when you do weightlifting. And that's part of why it's great to weightlift. And it's great to put the muscles and the bones under stress so that they will continue to maintain strength. So the priest said to this lady, well, you're praying for strength, so you're getting it. And he says, so do you feel like you're stronger? She goes, oh, yes. I've had to go through this, and I've had to go through that, and I've had to go through this, and I've had to go through that. And he goes, okay, stop praying for more strength. And she goes, but I don't understand. And at first you think, well, gosh, what is that? What is that all about? Like, of course I need more strength. And yes, I want to get stronger. And he says, instead, let's switch it to gratitude. Be thankful for the things you do have. Be thankful for the strength you have gained from these situations and from the past. Let's go with gratitude. Gratitude is a great emotion. Is a great emotion because gratitude is sort of a whitewash over a bunch of different things. And we'll talk about more gratitude or listen to one of the other podcasts or whatever. But gratitude's a great um, emotion to fall back to because it's hard to mess up gratitude, right? You can ask for more strength. And if you ask for more strength in certain things, you might get the tests and the trials that come with more strength. So be thankful for the strength you have. Be thankful for the growth that you have and the strength you'll gain from the trials and tribulations that maybe will occur because that's life. And we want to go to gratitude and be thankful for the lessons that we've learned already and the things that we've done already. But be careful not to pray for strength because you might get all of the things that come to you if you pray for strength, because you gotta grow. You gotta be put under stress in order to gain more strength. And so, not that strength is negative. And I know we started talking about negative thoughts and positive thoughts, but in this particular instance, the nature of praying for strength or requesting from the universe strength, whatever you believe is fine. It's the same. It's all one and the same. What you believe is your belief, and I that's great. I encourage you to continue to move down that line with your belief and your thought process. But the idea here is that it's simple. You get what you ask for. Whatever you focus on, you get, and that is the law of attraction. So be thankful and be grateful for the trials you've had, for the hard times that you have. If you're thinking about something negative and you think, gosh, for the last 3 days, I felt really crappy. I don't know what's wrong. And so you start looking for what's wrong. You go, maybe it's that. And you give that energy. And then maybe you look at another thing and you give that energy. And you look at another thing, you give that energy. And all of a sudden you've got this Frankenstein of emotions. And remember, energy plus motion is emotion, right? That's why devotion to the emotion is so powerful to create motion and momentum. And so we want to think about that and say, okay, well, if you give energy to a bunch of different little pieces of negative emotion, and all of a sudden you go, I can't identify. Somebody says, what's wrong? You go, I know something's wrong, but I have no clue what's wrong. That's why. So instead, start with something like gratitude. Or maybe you have another positive emotion that is useful for how you would like to feel. Again, grateful is wonderful. Confidence, really good. Although you can use it negatively. Any of these you can. That's why negative and positive are rough words, right? Light and dark, a little bit better, right? But find an emotion that you're good at, that's maybe on the lighter side of the spectrum. And now work with that emotion and use that as a fallback and go, okay, you know what? Let's do gratitude real quick here. Let's get back to a place where we need to be. And then let's address the other side or be thankful for what we learned from the other side. Anyway, the reason negative emotions tend to manifest themselves faster is simple. When you feel something with a negative emotion, oftentimes you put massive amounts of feeling. You feel it in your hands, in your back, in your neck. You can see it when people have a darker or negative emotion. You can see it through their body. They physically feel it, and they put energy into that motion in their body. And when they do that, they vibrate out with that frequency. And when we do the positive emotions, we tend to go, I want to be happy. And we don't put it in. They don't go, I want to be happy. Yes. You got to put that emotion out there, right? And you got to think about it. And you can look around at other people that maybe you know that are like mega happy in their world. And you go, Why are they always so happy? They're putting it out there. They're vibrating it. And that, funny enough, that detracts people that are not happy. They go, oh, I can't stand that. Right? But they also attract people that are very happy. Okay, now that's simplistic and it's just a couple of emotions, but I'd like you to think about it today. Think about the fact that when you are doing a darker emotion, you might be putting more actual feeling and energy into it. And when you're doing a lighter emotion, maybe you need to do the same. So pick a lighter emotion today. That's your action for the day. Pick a lighter emotion like happy or grateful, gratitude. Pick something like excited, or even something, silly, like silly. Maybe you want to feel silly and put some energy and feeling into it. And you might be surprised. You might attract some silliness to you. And that could be a lot of fun. Anyway, thank you for joining me on the podcast. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and the little bell so that you'll get notified when we put up a new podcast. And of course, if you know somebody that needs to hear this message today, please share it with them. Send the link over, hit the share button. There's a quick little button on the bottom of your phone, and it'll allow you to share it over to them over text or email or whatever. Share the podcast with them. If you're watching on YouTube, come join me on YouTube. It's a lot of fun, and I hope to see you soon. So if you have any questions or comments, please send them in. Comment down below on this video if you want to. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear some of your experiences. Maybe you can comment down below some of the times that you've thought you were doing something positive and trying to attract it to you, but it actually turned out negative and you learned your lesson. I'd love to hear about those. Comment that below, okay? Anyway, thanks for joining me on the podcast today, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hey lifers, we expect upgrades to the base operating functions of the things like our phones, cars, and even refrigerators. Why then has it not been made a priority that we upgrade the operating systems of our emotional states? We dance around the subject of emotional mastery from a young age. We have so much more knowledge in today's world, yet we're still teaching outdated methods of emotional education, if any are being taught at all. It's time for a change. It's time for an upgrade to our emotional education. Let me help you learn how to do that. Pick up your free copy of Every Minute at everyminutebook.com.